What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we are given a state of the market and stock picks for August 1st, 2022. So that sounds like something you're interested in. Consider subscribing, as I do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead in this phenomenal market in which we are currently in. Now, currently, the setup is 75-point basis move uh, so far. And going into a new week, you got still a lot of earnings going on. The market is in a very interesting place. I think the market is pure earnings mode now. This is one of the bigger moves we've had this year. But being said, one of the big things that coming into this week, and something I talked about briefly over the weekly update, was the fact that Pelosi is going to Taiwan tomorrow. And there's been a lot of threats over the weekend from China about her going there and what there could potentially happen. So tomorrow is going to be a big day. This is why we started selling off. The market came in very strong. I was actually very surprised. We started selling a little bit, which is normal because I was expecting a normal pullback. And then I was kind of just waiting for the market to take off. And then it started to take off, and then it stalled, and it started selling again because of a lot of the more threats coming from China. Now, if something actually happens tomorrow, things will change very dramatically. It won't matter that we're in earnings mode. It won't matter about the 75-point basis move. We will react to China and what's going on with that. Now, if nothing does happen from that, and we'll wake up tomorrow and everything's perfectly fine, then we're going to continue this bull run, this short-term rally thus far. But this is one thing to consider. We are in a new month. We did started rallying. We did break the trend. It'll be interesting to see if this does just break down and start selling. It needs to just naturally do that. It doesn't need a catalyst to sell, but you would like it to break and retest current levels that we've current resistance to that, which is now support. So we'd like to at least try to get back down here to the 4060 potentially. Now, if we break back below that, again, we could see other lows here. You don't want this to be the high, because that would essentially make it a higher low, and that means we're going to go down even lower. So that's one thing we don't want. So we really want to be able to hold this 4087 tomorrow is ultimately what we're looking at. Again, we're back over the 20 on the weekly. But you're pinched in between the 20 and the 50 now. So we could at least try to get a run up to the 4180 if we do continue some sort of rally here. Do we break that? I think if we break that, we could be in pretty good shape, start heading back up. Again, I think the market will try to, again, gain some sort of margin. Again, this is all pending on what happens with China and Pelosi tomorrow. But I'm talking more so along the Fed lines, because I'm just expecting everything to be normal again tomorrow. Pelosi's going to get to Taiwan. It's not going to be that big of a deal. But if some action is taken, then it just changes the dynamic of the market. But again, expect if this thing can start ripping back up, I think we can start increasing back some headway towards this year going into the next Fed meeting. I don't think we're going to just continue to just keep on ripping. I mean, everything's possible, but you definitely have to be careful, because if we have another high core CPI or high inflation report, that just means the Fed is going to keep blocking down. We may continue just to rally until we get Q3, but we have to understand that if we have another high inflation and the Fed come in with another 75-point basis move, they may even come with 100. You have to know now that they got 2 months in between. They may even come out with an emergency rate raise if it continues to just climb. And understand that the headline inflation, the food and the energy. Now, some good signs are oil is starting to come down. The dollar itself, has come down somewhat. But we have to see. Everything's have to see what happens. But right now, things are changing. They could be potentially good to the upside. but you have to be very careful because it could change, right? This whole year has been in the bearish sentiment. The overall trend, which has been down all year, that takes precedence over any of these short-term rallies. You have to understand that if you are intraday trading, swinging, understand the overall sentiment is down, right? Like you still have a lot of ground you got to make up before you can even say that we're out of any kind of downward trend. Being said, we will see. Market's designed to go up. We just have to see what tomorrow brings, and then continue to play continuation. One thing I didn't like was some of the banks started selling. If those banks break some critical levels, that means they're going to come back down. It's just a matter of time right now. Tech has been really strong just because we had earnings. They really didn't have a pre-run up. So that's one thing to understand too, because I said there's always a pre-run up. We didn't have that because we were coming into the Fed. Now that everything's passed, we hit expectations on the Fed. Now it's more like, okay, well, let's get our pre-earnings rally now that the Fed is gone. And so that's what we're getting, especially at a big tech leading right now. So with that being said, we'll get that rotation. If the banks start selling, that means we got to start looking into the things. If tech starts to stall and starts to sell off, you have to remind yourself that after tech has its run, like what's going to happen is it's not just going to continue to run. It might have like a week or two where it has a really nice run. And we have to understand that after that, it's going to, the next 3 to 4 weeks, it's going to dial back. And it's going to prep for next earnings. It'll sell off until you get next earnings. It'll hold a chop and slowly make its way back down. So with all that being said, right now we have to see, especially the Pelosi thing, because that can really change everything in China. But aside from that, I think we're still in a good position to keep pushing up. Again, at least to the 41.85. Again, if it does break above that, we could be in a really good state at that point to start heading higher. Again, not full reversal. There's still a lot on the plate. I still don't like the way things are set up. It doesn't mean I'm not going to play what's currently pushing right now. And again, these are like parabolic moves, right? Like you don't want it to just go straight up. This is like a straight up move. That's going to recall for at least 75% retracement down to 4K. And then see where we go from there. Again, we don't want this to be our high right here because it'd be a high or low. It could potentially start heading down lower. Again, that 75-point basis move matters, especially the speed at which these rates are coming out and how it impacts everything. Again, if there's more cutbacks and more, everything is great right now, but you're going to start seeing more cutbacks because the 75-point basis move. And then there's another one, you're going to start seeing even more cutbacks, and then it could start getting really nasty. This is why the report is so significant that comes out on the 10th. So that's SPX. Bitcoin, again, it's going to follow the markets. It is breaking and retesting essentially the 22,600 right here. As long as it can hold above, it does really need to break above this 25K. To get up, but if it does break that, there's pretty strong resistance here around that, roughly around that 28K. So we'll have to see if that will break out from there. But again, it's going to follow the market right now. Again, the market's not in a good state. And when the market is not in a good state, everything pretty much looks the same and moves the same until some stuff is situated, right? Like you can, that the market makers or not the market makers, but the institutions that they can see the next 6 months, what's going to happen the next 6 months. Right now, it's still too foggy. There's still some stuff in the way that is still unknown. Again, if the Fed continues to raise rates, it's going to get bad. There's no way about it. We're starting to see the cracks of those quick rate raises over the past couple months, and then we'll see from there. Right. And so we have to take it day by day. And the only reason we're pushing up is because we've hit expectations because things are just bad. So said Tesla's one for Tesla. I say about Tesla, nice push today, but it's starting to reject. I expect it to come all the way back down to 826. Here, pretty nice support. So if we can come back down to here, looking to enter there. If not there, again, your next floor is 761. Tesla has really nice support here. Actually, it'd be a perfect entry here at the 827. If the market does sell off but hold, this could be a really good for the next leg up. So I'm kind of really watching that. Again, these are day candles. So, I mean, this thing could sell all the way down here. It'd be a while before you actually get here. Again, we're not going to quite touch that 827. It could come really close. It could come roughly around here, around the 840, bounce and start heading back up. So I have to see about that. You definitely want Tesla to keep pushing, especially if you want any kind of rally. The media, which has been interesting about this, right? These have gotten hit really, really bad. Any kind of ad revenue businesses, and Google has just been suffering pretty tough here. So hasn't really done a lot. It's just continuing to chop. So kind of watching that one. Apple has been very strong. Again, yet rejected. Looking to see if we can retest the support here at the, just like Tesla, essentially sell back down to the 157. If we can hold 157, we'll continue this way back up and then lead with the pack. So Tesla and Apple help lead the pack and see where we go from there. BA, same thing, nice break. Hit the 200. I expect this thing to come back down to the 160. As long as it's going to hold the 160. I'm trying to get a gap fill here. As soon as it hits 160, if it continues up, we got a good chance to break that 200 and start heading back up. But again, it all depends on the sentiment of the market there. I want to look at the banks here. JPM continuing to chop and look like garbage. GS. This is my concern. If these things start stalling, like I was saying, everything just kind of hit the top of 200 on the daily. Expect this thing to get rejected and come back down roughly around the 316. As long as it can hold that. If it doesn't hold that and break and start selling back off, we should be good for a even longer rally here. Again, I think we can get a pretty prolonged rally as long as in between now and the next Fed meeting. But we really have to see what happens from this point. So looking at that, Airbnb is another one. It's really been itching. It's starting to break out here. As long as it can hold the 110, I'm kind of watching this tomorrow. It really wicked hard. So really looking to see. Again, it has earnings here this week. Tomorrow after close. So I want to see how this does and play continuation on this. So this is one I'm definitely keeping an eye on tomorrow. I think it could do really well just because of the way travel has done. A lot of the credit cards reports that have come out have talked about people have been spending a lot, so putting a lot on credit card for travel. So I would assume that would also be Airbnb. So it could potentially have a nice move out of this. So really kind of watching that and seeing where it goes from there. But that's pretty much what I got. Again, everything is the dollar is still sitting at 105. Interesting time, very pivotal. Again, we are in earnings mode, so we'll continue to try to build some margin. Again, we're not going to just continue to flush. We need bad news to continue to flush. Right now, some things are looking okay, some things are looking good, but we're not out of bear territory just yet. We still got a long ways to go, and there's a lot of what if happens, especially tomorrow with China and Pelosi. So you have to be mindful of that. But aside from that, thank you for watching this far. I'll keep it short. Again, it really depends where we land. Keep it simple. Just watching a couple. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.